What's going on, guys? Welcome to Steve Does Stuff. I'm Steve, and today we are going drifting. So after a year and a half of Rhett's car being down, getting the turbo kit on it, prepping it, dynoing it, street testing it, it is finally time to take it to the track and beat the life out of it and see how that new power holds up. It's going to be our first day. It's April 23rd. First day getting Rhett's car out, and it's going to be the first event for the Canadian Drift Series, which is a new competitive series for the Ontario drift scene. We'll see how it goes. Today's an exhibition day, so practice in the morning and some battles in the afternoon. So we're just gonna go shake Rhett's car down and see what happens. So let's do it. Look at the carpet in this thing. Dude, it looks so nice now. It's a real respectable street car.
Yeah, street car life, bro.
All right, well, have fun at tech.
Yeah, street car.
All right, first shakedown run. Nothing crazy. Got the computer going. We're gonna log some datas.
Logging.
Danger to manifolds.
Logging road.
Couple of loggers.
BC boys. I'm grip driving this shit. I'm just gonna grip it. I'm just gripping it. I'm just gonna grip drive it.
First shakedown, she rips.
Yeah, everything feels okay. Got a little noise in the rear, but like nothing to be too worried about.
Let's do it. So we had some oil blow out the catch can, cleaned it up. We're gonna go back out and do another run.
Got a little nervous.
See what happens. Still got all the oil pressures, for sure.
I know.
So we had a bit of a clunking in the rear end on the last couple runs. We look back here, we realize there's two full rims and a battery bouncing around in here. So
Bonehead move.
gotta do some
Giant bonehead move.
gotta do some rebuilding.
I've certainly never done that before, but hey.
Hey, don't throw those around. Come on, man.
Yeah.
These are the former mounts. Here's the new zip tie. We got 3 zip ties on 3 points plus a rag under here. That one's fine. So this is fixed. All right, so after a couple runs, we're chasing down a few different issues. Unfortunately, the catch can is filling up and somehow leaking out a bunch of fluid. It looks like it's leaking out of the bottom petcock. So we've done, I would say, 3 runs total. Issue number 1, obviously, is why is it getting so much pressure in there? Where is this oil coming from? Issue number 2 is the logs that we sent to Jason, the guy who's looking at the tunes, says the AFR, the wideband, is just all over the place. It's losing signal, it's not reading properly, it's doing some funky stuff that we're not entirely sure of. Issue 3 is we left a bunch of tires in the trunk and it destroyed the battery mounts, so we have zip tied that handily in place. I've remade some battery mounts.
Unfortunately, this motor moving oil out of it was the main theme for the day. We could not figure out why the catch can was leaking so much, and we were very concerned with how much fluid or oil is actually coming out of this. In the past, when they start to get serious blow by and move oil out, the rings are roached, so we did not want to push this thing. We pulled off a hose, put it in a Gatorade bottle so we could see exactly how much was coming out for every run, which seemed to be less and less for whatever reason. In addition to the excessive oil being pushed out and leaking out of the catch can, we also had a very rich condition under full load throttle where the AFR was reading 8 to 9. We couldn't account for these changes in the map and concluded it was the sensor issue, but out of an abundance of caution took it very easy. After a very modest rip around the pits under medium-low boost, we took a look at the Gatorade bottle to see that there wasn't a ton of oil in it, which was nice to see. Knowing how many of these Rhett has blown up, when they do start to get tired, they have a lot of blow-by. So we pulled the lines off to check and see if there was excessive blow-by at idle as well as revving it, and we didn't really find anything that was concerning, especially considering how many of these we've blown up. Now with that more or less handled, we moved on to the spark plugs to try and figure out what was going on with this AFR. Like I said before, there was nothing in the map that has changed from Rhett, so we felt that it was a faulty sensor, but out of an abundance of caution, we pulled all of the spark plugs just to see what they're reading on. Typically, you're gonna want like a nice chocolatey brown layer on the spark plugs, and if what we were seeing on the AFR was correct, these things would have been black, black, black. Unfortunately, again, we didn't really find anything.
All right, so plugs are checked. They're reading pretty good. We're gonna keep the cover off. We're gonna reroute this tube over here because when we had it off, nothing was coming out of there. So we're gonna see if we can find a spare AFR sensor. Maybe rip this thing a little bit. See what sort of oil pushes out of it.
So unfortunately, the shakedown day for Rhett's 86 did not go exactly as planned. The first thing that set us back in our seat was just the amount of oil that this thing was pushing out. We unfortunately didn't have the petcock set properly, so it's leaking all over the place. But beyond the petcock and human errors, we were really concerned with how much oil was actually coming out of this motor. Now, in the last time Rhett blew this thing up on nitrous, it had a ton of blow-by, and that is usually a hallmark sign that your rings are just absolutely roasted. So after we chatted with a few people, this thing is still very high compression. It hasn't been opened up, and it has medium boost, about 10, 12 pounds of boost. So it is likely that the catch can that is on it is inadequate for the application. So not a big deal. The thing that really shut us down was after the last run, we took one last data log, sent it to Jason to look over the maps and the tune, and he just said, I don't understand why this thing is reading about 8 under full throttle. So the concern was that if you're running on pump gas and you're running about 8 point something to 1, very rich, you run the risk of washing those cylinders down in gasoline, which is going to create a high friction situation, which is going to wear your piston rings, which is going to be right back to where we started. Rhett doesn't have a motor anymore. So that is ultimately what shut us down. It ended up being just a faulty sensor, which is really unfortunate, but that is basically the way it goes sometimes. We tried to be as smart as possible about it. We didn't hurt anything beyond repair. We figured it out, and now his car is working very nicely. At the end of the day, when you're dealing with cars, they are going to be a pain in the ass, but if you're doing car stuff with your buddies, it's better than not doing any car stuff. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Appreciate it very much. We'll see you next time.